Hello and welcome to Renew, the show about the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University. The College of Forest Resources promotes and enables the wise use and management of our natural resources. I'm your host, Leslie Berger. Joining me today is Dr. Ruben Smolsky from the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
I think we should probably start the show today with just having you define what sustainable bioproducts means.
Okay. Sustainable bioproducts are what I would consider products that are derived from natural sources, bio-based, mainly trees, but it also includes other fibrous materials that are not food. So we think corn would be a food product, corn stalks would be a bioproduct.
Okay.
Walnuts, a food product, walnut lumber, a forest product or a sustainable bioproduct.
Okay. So oil, that's a bioproduct, is it not?
Oil, absolutely. We can squeeze oil from trees or other ag-related derived products, and that would be a bioproduct. There's corn oil, for example, a food product that we can use, but there's other oils that come from plants that would be non-edible, and those can be used as lubricants, as fuels, as chemicals for our use and consumption in a natural and renewable way.
Okay, so it's that renewable piece then that makes, say, corn oil different from the oil that's extracted from the ground, which is also ultimately a biologically based product, but it's not renewable in a manageable time frame.
That's true.
So it is a bioproduct, but what we're talking about here with sustainable bioproducts then is this idea of renewability. How can we derive products from useful products from things that we can actually renew in a timely fashion as opposed to oil that's coming from the ground?
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. The oil in the ground, though it could be considered plant-based, it's millions of years old.
Right.
But when we have some technology to try to mimic that, where we can take other plant-based materials and heat them up and pressurize them, sort of like plants would be in the ground, that ultimately turn into fossil fuel, we have ways to develop that in a laboratory, in a reactor, where we can turn trees or other biomass into oil and fuels.
Okay. Well, you have heard the term elevator speech. So an elevator speech is the time you have to sell someone on an idea that you might have in the average time it would take to move from, a trip in an elevator from one floor to the next or a series of floors. So what would be your elevator speech for the purpose of, or the mission perhaps, the mission of the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts?
Our mission is develop educated professionals, first and foremost. At the university, we think of students and undergrads and grad students. They're interwoven into everything we do. But the topical area is, how do we take things like trees, and of all the bioproducts, trees are the biggest one, not just they're the biggest plant, but they're the biggest part and parcel of the bioproducts sphere. What we want to do is make those worth more money, to find new markets, develop new products, take existing products and add value to them anywhere we can. Because a lot of our private wealth and capital in the South and in the country as well, but particularly in the South and in Mississippi, comes from the land base. We grow ag products and harvest them, or we grow timber products and harvest them over and over again in a kind of a renewable manner. So our role is maximize that revenue per acre by coming up with new products, new value for goods and services for our people.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. When people might want to know why Mississippi. Why would we have a sustainable bioproduct in Mississippi instead of, say, California, which is known for its technology?
Sure.
So is it this land base that you're referring to that makes that relevant here?
I think that's one of the biggest parts of it. Mississippi is to a large degree a biomass factory, where if we cut down a sweet gum tree, 8 others come to its funeral. We can't stop the plants from growing, so this is a way to harvest what's going to happen anyway, or harness that. So we try to develop as much technology as we can to add value to that, to take what Mother Nature is going to produce anyway and make it better. And it spills over because Mississippi is somewhat in the heart of what we might call the pine growing region, where southern pine trees grow from Texas in the west to the South Atlantic states in the east, Florida, Carolinas, Arkansas. We're really in the heart of that,
Sure.
so we have a strategic location.
Right.
We want to help Mississippi first and foremost, but these other states, to a large degree, will benefit from the work that we do just due to our location.
Right. Okay. Well, you've brought some things with you today that sort of demonstrates, I assume this is demonstrating some of the
True.
activity you've got going there. So could you explain what you've got?
Sure. Firstly, we have a map. One of our scientists developed, this is a map based on a GIS program where years ago the southern pine growing community developed a regional map where all the pine trees grow and the different geographical and hydrological differences that might make certain trees grow a little faster, some grow
Sure.
slower. So this pine growing region is divided up into 14 or 18 different subregions, and when we sample trees or we want to sample lumber and determine its properties and potentially upgrade it, we need to sample from all these different regions.
Right.
So one of our scientists developed this map and he put it into GIS. That was a big upgrade from just a map on the wall. And now we can quickly identify which mills are in which regions when we want to sample lumber from throughout.
Excellent.
Now that's used throughout the country for people that want to sample lumber. Some of these other things, one is our Wood Magic bubble blower. You may have seen one of these before.
I think I have some familiarity with that.
One of the ways we try to impart a love of forestry and natural resources into young people is through our Wood Magic Science Fair, where we bring them to campus and demonstrate for them scientific aspects related to the forest, but in a fun type of manner. And the purpose of this stick, which is red oak, demonstrates permeability. That is, trees, as they grow, the roots go in the ground and there's water in the ground, and they pull water from the ground up the trunk to the leaves. And with a red oak piece of wood, the cells in the tree are big enough where we can blow air through the stick. So we dip it in some bubble soap and then blow through it, and bubbles come out the other
Right.
side. And for a fourth grader, it's a pretty neat
I
bubble
found
blower.
it pretty fun myself.
Yeah, we have contests, and the people that work in our shop get pretty astute at picking out which sticks will blow the most bubbles, and they
right.
keep those. That way they can,
They can
of
do
course,
it like, yeah,
be competitive with the children. Some of these other things, this is an engineered product we helped develop. It's stamped as Timtech, where our scientists helped turn small diameter pine trees into large section headers and beams.
Okay.
There's a change that's occurred in the pine industry over time where there's fewer and fewer paper mills in the U.S. And our pine forestry, to a large degree, is based on having a strong chip market and pulp market. So we're always trying to find homes for these small diameter trees that would otherwise go to pulp and paper. So this product takes small diameter trees and we crush them up into these elongated continuous strands of wood. And as we crush them, we break the wood at its weakest points. So what's left are more or less continuous ropes or ribbons of wood. Then we press them and glue them back together to make roof beams and truss beams and things like that. So that's a pretty neat way to add value to those
Sure.
low value, low density trees.
And you can harvest trees sooner because you're not waiting it to get to a beam size piece of
That's true.
lumber out there. You can take it sooner, turn the product around faster on the ground, still end up with something that's strong and perhaps even more versatile
Exactly.
than a single beam might be.
Sure, rather than grow a tree for 40 or 50 years to make a large section plank or a beam, we can grow 12 or 13 or 14 year trees, which are smaller and they're lighter, but compress them and then have more versatility in the products we derive from those. Also, they're a lot cheaper. The price per ton for the thinnings or the pulpwood is much lower than saw logs or pole timber, so that's an efficient way to convert that resource and push it into the market for consumption and housing construction. This product is a small sample of what we might think of as plywood on steroids. It's
Right.
called cross-laminated timber, where this is in its infancy in the South. It's been somewhat developed in Europe, and it's being developed in Canada, and it's just coming to the South. So we, in our position as College of Forest Resources in our program, we're doing testing and development of this for use in the South with southern pine as the raw material, where it uses lumber as a feedstock, and we have lots of mills in our area that produce lumber, not just Mississippi, but throughout the South. And this would be glued together into large panels that might be 4 feet wide and 20 feet long, for example. And then with those large panels, we can build buildings.
Excellent.
For example, you might think of a large, we call them big box stores.
Right.
Those are typically built out of concrete, where they bring in concrete panels, and we call that tilt-up construction.
Right.
They stand up another panel and another panel. Well, those could be made out of wood.
Sure.
That would be a more sustainable
Right.
construction material. So that's a new market that wood is not going into at this point. So it's really exciting for me to be a
Right.
part of that
Right.
development as our department tries to help push that or pull that into the southern U.S.
Well, let me transition just for a second because you gave me an idea here. We've only got about 2 minutes left. So you talked about just being excited about this new product. What do you like best about being department head?
The people I get to work with, no question. We've got in the college and in our department, they really make it exciting to come to work. Passionate scientists and research staff and students that they all want to make a difference. And sometimes it's difficult to see the big picture that what we do here in Starkville promotes sustainability of water and forests and wildlife throughout. But that's really exciting for me, that the way we do that through conserving timber, making it last longer, squeezing out its yield.
Right.
That makes it worth coming to work every day.
Well, that's what should be getting us there. And you actually have a lot of international students, so it's not just Mississippi you're impacting, it's the world, and that is just a very exciting place to be.
Sure.
So thank you for coming today and
Thanks for having me.
and sharing what you guys are doing there in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts.
My pleasure. So good to be
I
here.
thank our viewers for spending time. I hope you've learned a little bit more about the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, that I'm sure if you had any interest in what's going on there, or if you were a student that would be interested in majoring in this, Dr. Smolsky would be happy to visit with you about that. Until then, I hope that you have a glorious winter. Stay healthy, stay strong, and we'll see you back at Renew again shortly.